They like to run, so they need lots of room to run.
Yeah.
So not so much the height, but the length.
Ah.
So he needs more length than height. And I'm like, what do you feed your bearded dragon? I've had him for a while and never took him to the doctor. Didn't think anything about taking him, a lizard to the doctor.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Bailey came on scene with us, and I brought him in so she could check him out for me. And she, she taught me so much. She's so interested. I mean, she is so interesting to listen to. And she taught me, actually, I always fed him a couple vegetables and a fruit, and I fed him a fruit every time. Well, come to find out, me feeding him fruit every time has caused him to have dental disease. So he wound up with these two little knots under his neck. Well, not really his neck, his jaw. And I noticed one, she told me that's part of the dental disease. Well, I noticed about a month or so later, one got much larger than the other. So I texted her, and I was like, what is going on? And so she was coming in like the next week. She said, bring him back. And actually, he wound up having an infection in his jaws. And she wound up having to do a surgical procedure and do an incision and drain it. And she said it was really infected. And she had to put him on antibiotics. And, we checked him for worms. You wouldn't think a lizard and worms, but he wound up having hookworms. So I had to deworm him. So
wow.
It's been quite the learning experience.
Same hookworms that dogs can get.
Yes.
Yeah, or people, I guess, can get
yes.
those too.
So you think about it, I'm sitting here cleaning up Zach's poop, which, I always wash my hands, but, I could get it. So you have to be careful with that. So
that's something I didn't even know. So it's really good to see a veterinarian that specializes in these kind of things, that knows what they're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dr. Bailey has taught me so much, and I appreciate her. So the injections, believe it or not, are not that big of a deal. He just kind of twinges when I go to give him his injection, but he sits still for that. But I have to have him back when she comes back next month, and she's going to follow back up, look at him again, and then we'll go from there. So he's
it's a long process.
It is.
Lizards take longer.
And unfortunately, the damage that has been done, I don't think can be completely corrected, but we can try to build the strength back in his jaw bones, because it makes him more fragile, and he's more likely to break his jaw, she said. So something you got to be very careful with, because I don't know how you fix a broken jaw.
Right. No, you don't want to do that. So if people have a lizard at home, or any kind of reptile, it is besides just taking them home and putting them in an aquarium, just give them some of the ideas of what kind of things that they probably need. Because a lot of times I think you go to the pet store and you get the smallest thing that you can get, and it may not be big enough. And
So I started off when I got him, they had a tank particularly for reptiles. And but of course he got bigger. The tank it's short, but it wasn't very long, and even Dr. Bailey has educated me since on this, but they like to run, so they need lots of room to run. So not so much the height, but the length. So he needs more length than height. Another thing with him, I had him a little water bowl in there. Drink your water. No, that's not true. He needed a bowl he could submerge his whole body in that I didn't have in there. So I replaced that with a huge bowl, so he can put his whole body in it if he wants to. And that helps. And I think there's a certain temperature they have to be. They have to have basking lights. They have to have UVB lights. And those UVB lights have to work right because of their calcium, and they're very sensitive to stuff like that. And
I know Dr. Cooper Bailey's big on the UVB light.
Yes.
Because just because it says UVB light on it doesn't even mean that they're getting enough.
Right.
So she has a special sensor that she reads the light. So if you're coming in to see her, bring your lights, bring your aquarium, bring your stuff with you, so she can see what kind of heating rock you have, what kind of light you have, see if it fits what you need.
Well, and I was guilty. He likes to run loose in my house, and so I let him. Of course, I have a heating pad, and she was like, well, that's not really, because he likes to eat these type of little boogers like to eat things they shouldn't eat, so they become obstructed, just like a dog if he swallowed something he shouldn't. So she was like, you really shouldn't let him run loose in your house. So I have restricted that.
He'll run around
Can't
and
say I'm
grab stuff
perfect.
you don't even know.
Yes, absolutely. And another funny thing, you think about lizards, desert, sand. I had a sand in his tank. She was like, no, don't not put. And it wasn't even sand, like play sand. It was like crushed pecans or something out of shells. And she said they will get that and they will ingest that and become obstructed.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm thinking, lizard, how can you go wrong? Desert animal, sand. But wrong. You have to have carpet. And so needless to say, I was doing quite a few things wrong. But she got me on the road to the right thing. And she even said, too, if you bring pictures, I took a lot of pictures and let her see his setup through pictures. I'm gonna set him down and let him play. But even if you take pictures of your stuff and bring it to her, some of the pictures, but the lights, I would probably bring the lights for sure, because you know, to see what his living conditions are is a big thing for her, so she can see. Well, just like the simple things, I had sand. I wasn't supposed to have sand. I didn't have a big enough water bowl. And those little things you don't think mean a lot, but they really do, because I mean they shed their skin, and I think that has the it helps with the process. And he wasn't able to get his body submerged. And so a lot of things I learned right there.